Hello and welcome to Continue or Drop, and on this episode, I'm going to be talking about ReZero. This is one of those shows that really stood out to me when I was reading up about the spring season. It's been getting mostly positive reviews and it currently holds an 8.36 rating over on my anime list, so I was hoping that I would be just as impressed as everyone else. Subaru is a young man who is absolutely exhausted after a long hard day of playing video games. Oh, how hard his life must be! After shopping at a convenience store, he closes his eyes for a brief moment to relieve his tiredness. And when he opens them, he's in some weird fantasy world. He then meets a girl named Satala who's trying to get back her stolen insignia. Subaru agrees to help with her quest, but on the way, they encounter something quite sinister. The first episode surprised me a bit because when Subaru is initially transported to the other world, he doesn't give a crap. In fact, he's gleeful about the situation, going around yelling about how excited he is to become the hero in this RPG setting. It's a fairly interesting idea. They're taking a scenario that would usually be considered traumatic and playing it up for laughs while also poking fun at common tropes in the genre. There was just one problem. I didn't find it funny. This is meta humor in its lamest form. They make a bunch of references and they do absolutely nothing clever with them. They don't expand on them. They don't make any kind of statement. What these jokes basically boil down to is they point out something that usually happens in these kind of shows, and then they just do the exact opposite. It seemed incredibly lazy, and since I dislike the humour, the first 30 minutes, which is about how long it takes for the story to get going, was fucking torturous. When the story did get going though, it helped me understand why so many people are enjoying this. And at that point, I began enjoying myself a lot more as well. Sure, there were still problems. I still hated the comedy and the pacing was a bit sluggish. But I was so glad that my opinion had basically done a complete turnaround. I was getting scared that I was going to have to publish a negative review and go against the grain. But I don't have to do that now, so hooray for conformity! The characters were another aspect that grew on me as time went on. Subaru started off as the arrogant otaku archetype. You know, the kind of guy who spends all day playing video games and then brags about it, like it's some kind of achievement. I get that this was meant to make him relatable, like, hey, this guy's a gamer, just like you. But in order for me to connect with the character, I need a lot more than that. Luckily, the show did give me more by putting him in some very messed up situations. With some of the horrifying experiences that he has, it was hard for me not to empathise with him. And this same kind of thing also happened with the other members of the cast. They all started off kind of bland to me, but then something horrible would happen and suddenly I cared deeply for them. I did a 180 on pretty much every single element of this anime, and that includes the technical aspects like the music. At the start, when it was trying to be all upbeat and goofy, it didn't work. Maybe it's because I didn't like the humour, but regardless, the songs during the comedic scenes didn't impact me at all. However, when the show became darker and the music changed from being happy to suspenseful, it was so good that it gave me the chills. It got to me. There were even a few times where I was legitimately scared, like it would play this really loud musical sting and I would jolt back in my seat. It was very effective at keeping me on edge. In the visual department though, I found everything to be pretty standard all the way through. The animation was decent but never really did anything outstanding, and the character designs are about what you'd expect from a fantasy anime. The only visual aspect that stood out to me was the CGI. And that's because of how bad it was. The buildings are fine, but the background characters look like those stock designs that you'd get out of those 3D modelling programs. On the whole, I wouldn't say the visuals are bad. They're just not all that remarkable. The start of ReZero was slow. I swear those first 30 minutes felt like an eternity. But it built and eventually it became an anime that I was excited to talk about. Even with the problems I had, it's earned a continue. I also have to say that if you're finding it a bit slow in the beginning like I did, give it a bit of time, watch until the end of episode 2 because it gets a lot better. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave a comment, and if you like this video and want to see more, feel free to subscribe as well. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.